Hello everyone. Welcome to your Photoshop challenge. My name is Ruben Cespedes and I'll be your host for today. I want to also do a big shout out to everyone who's joining us in the chat. Thank you for joining us. Super excited because last week we did a magazine cover. You can check that out on the Adobe Live channel. But today we're going to be creating a vintage look, which is going to be super awesome. So if you want to follow through, just click on the link in the description below so you get the starter file. All right, so before we start right away, I just want to share this with you guys. It's a really amazing resource. It's the career resources from behance.net/resources/guides. This is an amazing resource for you guys to learn, grow, and also thrive in your creative career. You're going to learn things from soft skills, portfolio reviews, how to create a case study, and a lot more. So make sure you bookmark this page and let's get started. All right. Cool. All right. So we have right here, if you're joining us right now, there's a starter file in the description below. So make sure you click on it and get the file. And we're gonna be creating a vintage look. We have several things here. We have this image. We have another image. If we get time to do it, of course we will. We have another image. We have some textures, and that's pretty much it. All right, so let's start with the first one. I'm gonna just like turn this off and then make sure this one it's a little bit bigger. So I'm gonna just go ahead and press Option Alt on your PC and just make it a little bit bigger and bring it up a tiny bit. Like about there. That's pretty good. Hey Voodoo Val. Hey guys, how you guys doing? All right, so one thing I can do right now is to create a paper texture that I think we need. So I'm gonna just go ahead and just build one from scratch. So I'm gonna press Command N, 2000 by 2000, that's good. Click Create, and then in here, we're gonna click on Generate Image. And we're gonna just describe what it is. I'm gonna just type cream plain paper texture. Then I'm gonna click on photo, the effects. Let's see. I'm gonna go under materials and paper mache, maybe layer. I don't know. Maybe this one might work. We're just trying things out. All right, and then click on generate. Let's see what Photoshop does for us. And then if there's something we can use, we can definitely bring that over to our file. This is the magic of Photoshop, and I really, really love it. All right, so look at this. This is really cool. We get 3. So let's check the second one and the third one. I don't like, I like the second. I like the second one better because it feels more like paper texture. So I'm gonna grab this one. So I'm gonna just select all, Command A, Command C, Control C on your PC, and then paste it on top of it. There you go. So then I'm gonna just cover everything up, just hold down Option and kind of like center it somewhere in there. And then from there, I'm just gonna go into the blending modes here and select multiply. Okay, we got our first effect in here. Actually, I'm gonna select both of them and press Command G for group them. So image 1, in case we get to the other ones. And then on the effects here, I'm gonna call these effects. And I'm gonna make sure I put all my effects on top of this. Alrighty, so we got this already. You can see here, if I move this around, you can see some of the particles, and I'm gonna just zoom in, as you can see. So remember, we're creating a vintage look. So this is kind of like the paper texture we just created from an image prompt. There you go. So I'm gonna leave it there for now. And then now what we're gonna do is just, we're gonna bring some of the textures that we have. I'm gonna bring probably texture number 2. I'm gonna bring this up to my effects, put it on the top here, and I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger. Hold down Option, like about there. And then we're gonna invert the color. Instead of, having everything black and some white stuff, we're gonna invert the color, so it's reverse. So press Command I, Control I on your PC. And then once you have that, then we're gonna select this blending mode and put it into multiply. So we can see here, it's kind of like a little too much. It's just like way too harsh. So what I'm gonna do is select that layer of the texture 2 and press Command N to bring the curves. And then from there, I'm just gonna, slightly bring this up a little bit so that way we hide it. If we go down, like, it's gonna make it even darker. So just bring it slightly up, maybe like about there. We don't want it to be too harsh. And then press OK. Then also I'm gonna bring down the opacity, so that way it's not, that pronounced. It's like way too much. So just bring down the opacity just a tiny bit, like around there maybe. I think that's good. You need to play around with the opacity just a little bit, just to see something that feels great. I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit just to see how that feels. All right, I think that's good. If you also want to mask that out a little bit, just click on the layer and then click on the mask right here, and then press B for the brush. Make sure your brush is big enough. All right, so I'm gonna press, plus. 1 second. Give me 1 second, and then you're gonna press, the right bracket to make your brush small or bigger. And then from there, you're gonna paint over, let's see. Make sure your foreground is black, so that way you can paint over a little bit, kind of like that. Just a little bit, maybe on her face a little bit. We can remove some of that. Bring the opacity down for the brush, like around there maybe her hand, just a tiny bit, not too much. And then when it feels right, just, let that go, which is good. Now we're gonna bring texture number 2, or I would say, in this case, is texture 1 actually. So we're gonna bring it on top to our effects panel or folder. We're gonna make it, visible. We have the texture 1 in there. Maybe we're gonna turn this around, go into the corners and then just like turn it around. Maybe like that, and make it a little bit bigger to cover the whole image. Just hold down, proportionally hold down Option to make things proportionally better. I'll have to make it a little bit bigger, like around there. All right, I think that's good. Press Enter when you commit to that change. And then texture 1, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna, turn it sideways, of course, and we're gonna invert it as well. So we're gonna press Command I, and then this is gonna blend that in. You can see some of that cool stuff coming through. And then we're gonna set the blending mode. We're gonna send it to screen, about there, and then just zoom in. And then if you see some of these, you can move things around if you want to, but also if you wanted to kind of like soft that down a little bit. You can just, with the opacity, you can make it about 80%. I think that's great. 80% is good. Okay, so now that we have, you know, all textures are there. That's awesome. We got this into, you know, a great place. Now what we're gonna do is now create a new layer and create that, you know, kind of like old effect where we have some highlights and some dark spot. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a new layer by pressing Command Shift N and name this, I don't know, you can name this, let's see. You can name it whatever you want, but I'm gonna name this colors and bring that to the effect layer. And then I'm going to press B for your brush. Make sure using the left and right bracket to make this bigger. And I'm gonna select some colors. So I'm gonna select a yellowish tint, kind of like this tint, yellowish. Make sure your opacity, probably you can do it at 100%, but maybe your flow you can do like 60%. And then start painting, like, you know, like doing some, you know, kind of like here, about here maybe. And then for the dark, with the same layer, we're gonna go ahead and look for a dark blue, maybe something like about there. You play around and you experiment, whatever feels right. And then you can paint over, you know, zoom out a little bit so you can see more. Then just, you know, play around with your brush. There you go. Bree Bass, thank you so much. Loving this show. Talking about challenges. I missed last week, but we were moving back to the Bay. All right, so you can go ahead and rewatch what we did last week, which is awesome, is a magazine cover. And then this week we're doing a vintage look, going back in time. So you can apply this to your photos, which is pretty cool. All right, so now that we have our, you know, our base of the tan yellowish on the corner, and then the dark, you know, blue on the left, bottom left. Now we're gonna set this blend mode into soft light, and you can see like how it is gonna change, you know. But soft light is a great spot. Again, just go in there, see how this is looking. Make sure like you see like some of the texture going in there. And then you can do like on and off just to see like the differences, which is awesome. So I really like that. So I'm gonna leave it at that. If you want to remove some part of that, you can also create a mask around it and make sure you have your brush, and then you can paint over. So you bring some of that background color. All right, I like that. This is looking pretty good. One thing I wanted to do also is to kind of like write vintage in here and put it behind her hat. So what I'm gonna do is just type in vintage, vintage. Let's make this white. And I'm going to select all and then press Option and then start playing with the kerning and the leading right there maybe, and then press left. I'm holding out Option so I can play with the kerning. I like that, I think, and then I'm gonna just make it a little bit bigger and bring that like around here maybe. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. Make it around, maybe around there. And then I'm gonna bring this text all the way to the bottom, like around here. So it can take some of that texture. And then what we need to do also is to bring the subject. We need to bring that subject like above. So I'm going to turn this completely off. And I'm going to go in here into my third selection here. And I'm going to grab the object. And I'm going to see if I can select the girl. Okay, that's one. I hold down Shift so that way I can hold even more selections. So this is good. I'm going to select the lasso tool and just like bring some of this up and hold down Shift so that way it's a plus. So it's adding that to the selection. And then what I can do is I can simply press Command J or select here, and then in the output you can find this if you want to, but I think it's a good selection. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Layer Mask, new layer with Layer Mask. Click OK, and it creates a new layer. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this new layer with the mask on top of the vintage, so that way it goes behind it. Look at that. That's pretty awesome. All right, so far so good. Thank you so much. Again, let's continue with this. We have some other stuff that we're gonna be playing around with. Let's see. And then let's do, well, what we can do actually is create a curves adjustment layer. And we're gonna be playing around with some curves and some adjustments. So go ahead into adjustment layers and click on curves. And then in here, we're gonna be playing around with reds, blues, and greens. So go ahead in the toggle here, click on the red, and then start playing around with, maybe like that. I want that, maybe, oh, really like that on the red. Let's do on the green. Let's see what we can do. I don't like it when it's too greenish, so I'm gonna bring it down just a tiny bit, kind of like that. And let's see on the blues if we can do something. Grab the anchor in the middle maybe, and then start playing around. I really like that because I can see some of the yellow right here on the top, but also I can see some of the blue right here. So just play around, whatever feels right, stick with that. So see the before, see after. It feels more lively, more vivid, but at the same time, it's creating that vintage look, which is awesome. All right, so now that we have all of that, what I wanted to do is actually convert this whole thing into smart objects. So I'm gonna grab the entire thing. I'm gonna duplicate this whole thing so that way I don't lose it. I'm gonna just grab it and duplicate it. And then with everything selected, I'm gonna go ahead in here and then convert to small filters. Click OK. There you go. And then from there, you see that it's here, image one. We're gonna go ahead and go to filter, go to blur, and then Irish blur. Click on it, and we're gonna be adding some of the blur like on the top or on some of the edges, so that way that looks kind of cool and kind of like old. And then start playing around with it, like make it a little bit taller maybe. Maybe you can bring this outer just a tiny bit so it's not that strong. Maybe bring it down even further, maybe kind of like that. And then once you're commit to it, the blurriness also you can do it here on the right side if you want to make it even blurrier or just a tiny bit, not too much. I'm gonna go about, I don't know, like 13. I feel like this is good. If you're ready to commit, just click OK. Okay, so far so good. And then lastly, the last thing I want to do is create a new layer. Command Shift N and call it grain maybe. Click OK, and then let's fill this with 50% gray. Like I don't know, something around there. Just ballpark it. Click OK. And then from there, we're going to fill that in. Option delete. And then from there, we're going to go into filter. And then we're going to go to noise, add noise. I'm going to leave it about, you know, kind of like, yeah, like let's do like 12 maybe. And then make sure you choose not uniform, but Gaussian and then monochromatic. Then just click OK. And then we're going to set this blend mode into soft light. So we can, you know, so that way it's kind of like super soft, but we get the vintage look. And let's see, let's just like grab this whole thing, put it in a folder. We call it final. And then we're going to compare between those two. I'm going to go ahead and turn my final off, and then you're going to see the comparison between these two. So we started with that one. We ended up with this one, which is pretty cool. Started with that one, ended up with this one, and you can zoom in so you can see some of the textures and stuff, which looks pretty amazing. Again, you can, like some of these lines and stuff, you can definitely go inside and with the mask, you can remove it if you want to, or remove it from the face if it's something that is bothering you. But this is kind of like a really cool vintage look that, you know, we just created. And we can apply the same filters kind of like for other images as well. So if we have time, I think we do have some time. Let's see if we can use the same filters and apply it to this one, for example. So I'm going to go ahead and just like select this, make it a little bit bigger. There you go. And then let's grab this effects and just bring it down. I'm holding Option down so I can duplicate these effects and just bring it like outside. And then I'm going to call this, both of them, image 2. And let's see what we can do when we turn this on. Boom. All right. I knew this would happen because we have that on the top there, but we can just remove that layer because it doesn't pertain to this. We have the vintage in there, but you can see like the difference, like, and we are reusing the same, you know, the same filters and the same effects that we applied to the first one. We're doing the same for the second one. So, and what we can do also is just bring that vintage, you know, kind of like behind it. So I'm going to select the subject. Reusing the same, you know, give me 1 second. I'm going to select the subject. Kind of like that. It's going to be a really quick selection. I mean, once I'm happy, I'm going to go ahead and press Command J to duplicate it. And then I'm going to bring the selection kind of like on top of it. There you go. And we have 2 images with the vintage effect. So we have that one. And we have this one. 1 and 2, and you can continue to apply this to all other images that you have, which is awesome. Also, we have another one here on the bottom. I see if I have some time to do it pretty quick, because I think we do have some time. We got about 2 minutes, so let's just, okay, gonna bring this up and let's remove this one and make the third one a little bit bigger. And look at that one. We are reusing the same, you know, We're reusing the same effects. And like I said, you can go ahead and, you know, move things around so that way you have like different textures coming from different directions and stuff. For example, texture number 1, we can go ahead and move it. Like, what if you don't want that line to be on the top? Maybe you want it on the side for this image. So let's do that. Press enter and look at that. But my favorite one, I think, is number 1. I think this one came out really nice. There you go. So we have, I'll show you the before and after, before, after, and that's it for today. Thank you again so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed this Photoshop challenge. Again, make sure you bookmark the behance.net/resources/guides, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.